here to present from the University of Phoenix teaching tips for substitute teaching success. Okay, and if any time you want me to elaborate or you want to ask a question, just shout out and ask your question. So we are here to recognize the qualities of a professional substitute educator and explore and discuss the skills necessary for a successful substitute educator. That was weird. Self-confident, enthusiastic, and open-minded is what you need to be, especially for a substitute teacher. Do any of you have experience as a substitute teacher? And how long have you been doing it?
What is it? 5 years.
5 years, okay. And are you earning your degree now to be a teacher?
Yes.
Okay, good. And what are some of your experiences? What would you say if you had to describe in an adjective? What would you say for substitute teaching?
I think it's fun.
Okay.
I enjoy it. I mean, I don't know if you want an academic.
Oh, no, that's great. Fun is the best way.
I love it. But
Oh.
I'm also PTT, so.
Okay. So do you usually sub at the school that you're a PTT at? Okay, so you're focused on one school?
Right.
Yes. So when you're a substitute teacher, you generally are signed up for 5 schools at most. There's a list and you need to be on that list. And the computer will call you and ask you if you would like to be a substitute teacher, and it'll give you the length of the teaching. So it could be 1 day, it could be several months. Okay?
Question before we continue.
Yes.
Could I not be in this one if I'm only an EA and not like in a sub-program or anything?
This is, no, you can definitely stay for this one.
Okay.
This is, if you were going to be a substitute teacher, what are some good tips for making it successful?
Okay.
Okay? Leanne, but of course I want you to stay. All right, so be adequately prepared and on time. Oh, okay, so adequately prepared and on time for the assignment. You will receive a phone call. You accept that substitute teaching position and you arrive at your school, and you should arrive on time and be prepared. Now, how can you be prepared if you don't know what the sub-plans are for that day? So you immediately, when you get there, start to look at the sub-plans. Be professional and ethical at all times in all situations with staff members, parents, and students. So immediately you're looked upon as you're the teacher of that classroom for that day, and you should act professionally. And you are a teacher and you're not a study hall keeper. So you're not there. Some substitute teachers refer to themselves as, I'm just the substitute teacher. That is the wrong way to say it. You are the teacher for that day. And be friendly but firm. Okay, so some other qualities of a substitute teacher. Be respectful of all students, knowing they need patience, consistency, good judgment, and a positive sense of humor. After following that opening we had this morning, I was very entertained by everyone and their humor. So focus on that and be positive. I've seen some very bad experiences of substitute teachers. Come on in. Just take a seat. I've seen some bad experiences where someone went in and they were really, it's okay to be nervous, but a little too nervous and made it a bad experience. Focus on the students and their learning. Okay, refrain from inappropriate activities such as using your cell phone, eating in class, reading a newspaper or a book, and telling inappropriate personal stories. Especially at the older grade levels, students want to get you to talk, and they'll ask all kinds of questions about your personal life. And the worst thing that you can do is, I've seen it, where substitute teachers are looking at their Facebook, social media, and on their cell phones the whole time. So please don't do that. Remain at work until the actual scheduled time to end, which is often 3 o'clock. You are entitled to the teacher's, not entitled to the teacher's prep period, which often people think that they are entitled, substitute teachers think they're entitled to the prep period, and the school could ask you to go substitute in another classroom during that teacher's scheduled prep period. All information about students is confidential, so saying any information to people that should not know it is not recommended, and you can actually be terminated for it. And mandatory reporting. By law, employees of public or private schools must report possible child abuse and neglect cases. So within your time in the classroom, you are obligated to report to the school principal or counselor if you suspect there's any kind of child abuse or neglect going on in that child's life. Dress professionally and modestly. Avoid wearing jeans, shorts, t-shirts, and slippers. I did not put this slideshow together. Wear comfortable clothes and shoes that allow you to sit, kneel, and bend down. You know, in some of the primary grade levels, you're often sitting in a low chair with the students on the carpet around you. So dress comfortably but professionally. And dress in layers. You could have recess duty. You may have PE. At the middle schools, there is not always a designated PE teacher. And the science teacher is required to teach some of physical education. And so you have to be able to be dressed and ready for that. And then arrive at least 30 minutes early to check in at the office for details regarding your substitute teaching assignment. These are some suggestions. Confirm your teaching assignment, the teacher's name, room, grade level, and subject area. Ask about attendance and tardy procedures. At some schools, especially secondary schools, they have lockout where you shut your classroom door and it's locked for the first 10 minutes of that class period, and then you can open your door. During that 10-minute period, students are required to go to the office and they're marked late. Review the school's discipline policy. Ask about school safety procedure. For example, if there's a fire drill, where do you need to take the students on the fire drill? Request a copy of a school map. Often you're familiar with the school already. Find locations of the bathroom, the teacher's lounge, and other important locations, but the bathroom is the most important. Obtain the keys. Obtain the schedule for the day. Ask if there are any special duties such as recess, lunch, bus, or anything else that's appropriate for that school. And then find out how to refer a student to the office if a student is sick, needs to go home early, or if there is a discipline problem. Are there any questions or comments so far?
There's different procedures for long-term substitutes?
Well, long-term substitutes, the teacher is required to give you the lesson plans for the first 2 weeks. Then after 2 weeks, the substitute teacher is responsible for creating the lesson plans and implementing them. That's the only difference in the long-term. Long-term subs need to attend all of the school meetings, faculty meetings, whereas if you were a short-term or just a few days of a time period, then you're not required to go to those school meetings. That was a good question. Put your personal belongings in a secure place when you arrive. So often the teacher's desk, there's a drawer you can put your bags in. Review the lesson plans. So get the materials out and think ahead. Consider strategies to expand or enhance lessons activities if needed. Sometimes the lesson plans can be a little skimpy, especially if the teacher maybe just got ill and just wrote very little for what the plans are that day. So be prepared to make it more in the classroom. Put your name and the agenda on the board. And prepare an opening activities to tap into prior knowledge of the students, focus activities, a journal prompt to engage students during attendance procedure if one is not provided in the lesson plan. That transition time when students walk into the classroom and you're trying to get things started, often the students need to have some kind of activity to get them settled in while you do those duties that you're required to do.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
As an EA, I see subs come in all the time.
Yes.
So I've seen like a sub come in, and even if the agenda was on the board, maybe teacher knew they were gonna be out and put the agenda on, they did add to it. Like, tell me something about yourself.
Good.
Something interesting, just to kind of get to know, familiarize yourself with the students.
Right.
And then you can kind of find things that either you have in common that can help you throughout the day, or that period at least.
So 2 things I wanted to add to that. She's absolutely correct. Be friendly, but firm. So when you ask, tell me something about yourself, that's that being friendly, and you're creating a very nice
Just something
atmosphere.
about yourself, or what is your goal? What do you want to be when you grow up? Or, you know, something like that, just to kind of get to know the student and find some commonality.
Exactly. And then you will quickly learn who is going to help you throughout the school day, especially in an elementary classroom. Those students that raise their hand to tell you from the get-go, those students are going to say, oh, this is where the teacher keeps this, and these are our books, and we
you're
use
gonna
the
utilize
red
them a
folder.
lot. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, throughout the day. And it's going to really help you.
Exactly. Thank you.
I tend to find that when I sub, if they're helpers in the room, like EAs or PTTs or just volunteers, those are the greatest resources. 'Cause a lot of
Absolutely.
times, you just don't know where everything is, and that's my problem. Like, where's the paper? Where's this? Where's that? But those people, there are my key people. Like, oh, can you tell me? Like, so they're very, very helpful. The people are always with the teacher to give you guidance.
They do. They know the schedule, they know the routines, and you might have a few students that will try to challenge that routine. And the other paraprofessionals and the adults in the classroom will help you.
Yes, they're the greatest.
Especially if you're friendly. Okay, so learn this where all the students are supposed to sit. And if you cannot find one, you can make your own. But often those other adults and then a few kids in the class will say, oh, this is how we sit, and they tell you. Locate and review the school evacuation map. You never know. Introduce yourself to neighboring teachers. Use them as a resource for any questions you have about the lesson plans and school procedures, those grade level teachers or department teachers. And review the classroom rules and procedures. And if you don't have one, you can post your own rules and expectations. So, elementary students, as they walk in, you should greet each of them and say hi. And middle school students, you should stay at the door. High school and middle school, you should stay at the door and greet them as they walk in. Shake hands if you feel comfortable with that. Introduce yourself and immediately involve students in an opening activity. Review classroom expectations and teach students an attention-getting silence signal. So often we do this. Or you could turn the light off. That means everyone look at the teacher. Now, if you have your seating chart, it's really nice to address every student by name. Be positive, patient, and respectful in your interactions with all students. Don't sit as I just stand in one place. It's only because I need to go to the podium. But walk around the room while they're working, and proximity prevents many problems. If you're sitting, usually the teacher's desk is off to the side. If you're there, you're not there with the students. And high school students especially will whip out their cell phones and they'll be on social media while you're sitting here. So to prevent all kinds of problems, just walk around the room. Okay, remind students at the end of the day of their homework. Make sure all the classroom materials are back to their proper places, and have the students help clean the classroom and their areas around them. Organize and label student papers. Make sure that student papers have their students' names on them. And you can consider leaving a thank you note for the teacher about pick something that went really well that day and write a little thank you. And that teacher is often going to call you back as the substitute teacher. Complete the report. It's often a blue piece of paper that you have to write what you did that day. And return all of the keys and everything you need back to the office. And I think I wanted to say one more thing. I'm asked often, do teachers, substitute teachers, need to grade the papers that students turn in? In the elementary classroom, if it's there's an answer key, then the teacher is going to expect that you grade those papers. But if there's no answer key, just leave them in a nice pile with paper clips for each of the assignments. Are there any questions or comments? Nope. All right. If you ever wanted to, there's a substitute teacher handbook. And that's our reference for today. And thank you for coming.